S-A-T. It's in the name.
This episode of the Helping Healing Humor
Sons of Blunder
podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living.
Welcome in to the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Sons of Blunder, Mayo Bowl 2020 Part 2. We'll be picking and talking about the 2021 National Championship going on in the Orange Bowl down there at Miami Hard Rock Stadium, I believe is where they'll be playing. And we're going to be talking with our usual guys, Ben Hayes, Will Mahan. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Excited that it's that week, man. There's not any more college football until the end, so we're getting ready. I'm getting ready for that.
Will, birthday boy, Will.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Had a great birthday today. Excited to talk football and hoping that the Tide can pull it out. Best birthday present ever got, Nick Saban coming to Alabama 14 years ago.
That's right.
Right on my birthday.
That's cool.
So, pretty cool present. So
not officially introduced, but our resident Barner and professional football picker, Blake Holloman. Blake, other than being on with a bunch of Bammers, you doing okay today?
I am doing okay. I'm just going to hide over here in the corner and let you guys revel in your glory. So better days are ahead for the Auburn Tigers, I think.
You know that's not how this works. You know that we're, as the LSU guy said, we're miserable playing for a national championship and counting down the days. And, of course, we're watching the Clemson-Ohio State, which we all went with Clemson, and kind of like flipping from, hey, we really would like to play Ohio State to not so much wanting to play Ohio State. So, unfortunately, guys, they're not just going to not play and give it to us. It is going to be the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide playing the number 3, or in the case of Dabo Swinney, the number 11 Ohio State Buckeyes playing for a national championship on January the 11th, right? That's a Monday night.
That's correct.
So either the rest of the week is going to be amazing for 3 of us, and terrible for 1 of us, or terrible for 3 of us and amazing for 1 of us. Either way, we're going to be talking about that a little bit and some of the matchups that we're looking forward to in that. And then, of course, we will pick our winners. So, Ben, I'm going to let you, since your name is at the top of the page, give us your spiel about the national championship. You can talk a little bit about the semifinals. I think that will probably play into your pick as well, but go ahead and give us what you think there.
It scares me to death. I mean, as an Alabama fan, it scares me to death. As we were talking to Bryce Millison, who's done our videos for us, and is a major Buckeyes fan. He's pumped up that they are there. But he is like us. He's worried about having to play Alabama. We're worried about having to play Ohio State, and rightfully so, man. Ohio State came ready to lower the boom the other night, and they played a solid game. Justin Fields took a shot like nobody's business to that rib cage, and I don't know how he got up and walked. My back would have snapped into every one of my ribs would have been broken. Still not convinced he didn't break some ribs or something, because that was one of the nastiest looking hits I've seen. And he was a boss for the rest of the game, but I think they had a chip on their shoulder and they played lights out. I think that's their most complete game from what I've heard and what I've seen. The question about that game is going to be, Alabama's been pretty consistent. We've played pretty consistently through the year. Defense has struggled, so Justin Fields on offense scares me a little bit. I've always been scared of Trevor Lawrence for the same reason. If Trevor Lawrence has a lights out, crazy game like he had against Clemson, we may be in trouble. I'm not sure how well our cornerbacks match up. They've struggled all year on the running quarterback that can also throw it downfield. So that makes me nervous from that standpoint.
I think you said Trevor Lawrence. You meant Justin Fields. That's where Trevor Lawrence. It's like I was watching the Titans and the Texans today, and it's like I'm experiencing this whole Deshaun Watson with too much time on the clock thing again.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And
right.
I'm thinking
that was a pick. That was a pick play. It was a pick play. It should have been called.
And it will always be a pick play.
God bless Hunter Renfro. That's all I'm saying.
The man who played at Clemson for 18 years.
Yeah, but it was a pick play. Just saying.
No doubt.
So, I mean, my thought is I think there has to be one, there's the distraction that Sark's leaving. All right. So he's headed to Texas. So I don't know if that's really a distraction. We'll kind of see. He came out today, said he's coaching it. A lot of respect for Alabama, for Saban, for what he's done for him. Wish him really well. Hope that we bring in Hugh Freeze and just light it up just to rub it in Blake's face even more, because that's who he wanted at Auburn. But I tend to go back to 2015. I think there's still some bad blood from that game. We should have probably won that game. Zeke Elliott, dominated us in that game, in the run game. So, I'm kind of like Ben. I think Fields at least has to have a cracked rib. I mean, dude just got murdered. And so, how healthy does he come out? It scares me, their wide receivers, Olave, several of those guys, it's kind of scary when Fields can run it and he can drop back and throw it 61 yards in the air on a dime, But, I mean, I feel good about Mac. There's the rumors of Waddle. Does Waddle come back? Does he throw a kink in game planning? I think there's a lot of stories here. It's just trying to figure out, what ends up happening. I think Day and them definitely pull we're the underdog. No one thinks we should be here. You watch that game against Clemson, I think they're a top 4 team, for sure, just with the talent they have. So I'm kind of curious to see what our offense does, because I think everybody's going to be talking about Fields and Ohio State's offense. Last time somebody called Mac a game manager and all that, he kind of went off. And then Devontae, I was listening to a thing the other day. Devontae just told Mac, if I'm inbounds, just throw the ball there. I'll go get it, So,
sounds like a pretty good plan to me.
Player of the year, I think he's the front runner for the Heisman. We may discuss that in a little bit, but
speaking of which,
I think
he made some amazing catches in that game the other night. Again.
Oh yeah, and I think to me, I look at it and go, it's probably going to be mid 50s to, late 40s. Somewhere in there. I think it's just a shootout, and we'll see what happens.
Those games that I love.
Yeah.
Not really. The ones that I'll die 20 years younger than I'm supposed to.
Going
that's what I love. Everybody's like, but these games are fun. I'm going, no, let's win 90-0. Like, there's nothing fun about winning by a touchdown to me. Let's just go dominate.
All you Alabama fans are just unrealistic.
It's true. It's true. And you don't even know the half of it till, like I said, Nick Saban leaves. It'll be so terrible. Whoever's willing to take that job, man. All right, Blake, give us what you think, man.
Yeah, this game's going to be really fun to watch. I'm obviously going to be rooting for Ohio State, but I think that, Alabama's tough to beat. Across the board. I don't know. I've watched a couple of Alabama games with Alabama fans this year, and just to hear the way they talk about some of their defensive players, how bad they are, Auburn fans are salivating, wanting some of those recruits to come down to the Plains. I have heard one name mentioned a lot from Alabama fans this year that people are kind of, they don't think he's that good, and that's Dylan Moses, the linebacker for Alabama. And from what I saw from the Ohio State Clemson game, is Ohio State has a tight end. His last name is Ruckert. I don't know his first name, but he could be a matchup nightmare. And if Dylan Moses is matched up on him much at all, he's going to be caught for holding a lot. I know they didn't call very many penalties in the Notre Dame game, but I have to imagine that he's going to have to try to hold to keep up with that guy. So that is an interesting matchup to keep an eye on. Also, I think Ryan Day, the coach for Ohio State, I think he's an underrated head coach. He took over after Urban Meyer, I believe, and they've been really good at pretty much every year since then. But this is probably his best team, probably since he's been there because of his quarterback Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is just as good as Mac Jones. He's a little more crafty with his feet, obviously, but I think Ohio State matches up pretty well with Alabama. The Alabama D line is really good, though. I don't know many of their names, but I watch them, and Notre Dame usually has a pretty good offensive line, and Alabama, they just stuffed the run and took Notre Dame completely out of their game. So I think it's going to be pretty close, but I mean, there's no way you're going to keep either team out of the end zone in this game.
I was impressed with the size of Notre Dame's lines, both of them. They were some big old boys up in there. And, we had trouble with that, but part of it was they were just so big. Our guys are so much smaller and faster. And so, one thing I noticed was Clemson and Ohio State seem to be getting the edge a lot on each other. And I'm not sure how well they're going to get the edge with Alabama, because Alabama can seal up that, from east to west a little bit better, it seems like, than either of those teams did.
I think another, Blake, you bring up kind of matchup nightmares for Alabama is Sermon out of the backfield for Ohio State's running back.
And he's been running hard lately. Yeah.
Yeah. Transferred from Oklahoma, I believe, and it's like in the past, I mean, we had issues with coming out these wheel routes, coming out of the backfield, talking about Moses, who also, by the way, said he's been playing injured the entire year, came out yesterday, said he's been injured the entire year and hasn't gotten over the knee injury. So thought that was interesting that he maybe got burned a couple of times and comes out, and says all that.
Yeah, I was impressed with Ohio State's defensive line. I think they got after Clemson pretty good. I mean, Trevor was under a lot of pressure all night. But I think once again with Alabama, you've got that mobile quarterback with Ian Book. And when he did get outside the pocket, he was giving ground. He was backing up, trying to get room. And I think that'll be a similar approach, although I think Fields has a better arm. Obviously, he has an absolute cannon attached. But, one of the strengths of Alabama's defense is that back end. The corners, at least. The safeties sometimes have a hard time, like Will mentioned, picking up those guys out of the backfield. Same thing with Dylan Moses. I'll be really shocked to see the 70-yard bomb like he hit on that one in the end zone for that to happen. And, I think Alabama is one of those, and I think most defenses are trying to get people to be one-dimensional. And I think in this game, if Ohio State commits to the running game, I think Alabama would take that. As Sermon is great and he's going to get his. I'm not taking anything away from him, big back. But I think Alabama would be like, hey, we'll take the big back, pound it at us, run it at us. Because then Dylan doesn't have to, Dylan is more of a sideline to sideline NFL type. He's not a thumper like we're used to. But I think they would almost take that come at us approach rather than having to chase Justin Fields around all night.
It seems like that's what they took with Notre Dame. They wanted Notre Dame to run, and Notre Dame wanted to run.
I think the question is can Ohio State do it again? Can they do it 2 weeks in a row? The thing with Alabama is they've done it 11 weeks, 12 weeks in a row, and certainly not taking away from Ohio State and their ability to get it done, because I think we all believe that they have the ability to get it done. It's just doing it is another thing, because Alabama's going to put stress on you. Can they get in the driver's seat enough, get a lead, get a 10-point lead, and put the stress on Bama to see what they're going to do? That's one reason I'm really thankful for the Florida game. I know that Florida never got a lead, but they kept pushing Alabama. And, I think that's the type of game we're looking at, unfortunately.
So how much do you guys think that the freshness of Ohio State played into this game of Clemson? Because a lot of people are saying that, And you go, okay, before that game, they played 6 games. Before, if we'd only played 6 games, Dickerson wouldn't be hurt and other guys wouldn't be hurt. And probably the same thing for Clemson. I wonder how much that played into, what they're running into with them. What do you think, Blake? You kind of,
I think it did play a small role. I mean, if you've played less games, you have less opportunities to get hurt. But the way Ohio State played on the other day, they would have beaten anybody out there. I mean,
oh yeah,
they pitched a perfect game, and this is what really kind of scares me as I am kind of rooting for Ohio State to beat Alabama is they might have peaked too early. It's really hard to pitch a perfect game two games in a row, and that's really what it's going to take to beat Alabama, unfortunately, but that's just the truth.
From a mindset, it would have been beneficial for that game to have been closer.
That's true. I agree.
I think now you're going to have more people. It's going to be real hard to sell, oh, they're the underdog, and Ohio State is the underdog, but to sell, oh, they're not giving you any credit. And all you're going to hear for another week and a half is Ohio State can do this. Ohio State can do this. And it really comes down to how much, you've got that question after the game to Mac Jones. Hey, have y'all even talked about the Heisman? He's like, that's a rat poison question, and they've been dealing with that all year,
But how much is that win going to get in Ohio State's head,
Yeah. I mean, because you think about, I think the same thing, and this is not a great example for us Alabama fans, but you saw that in 2009. Alabama beats Florida. They come out, they're a little flat against Texas. They didn't play just a tremendous game against Texas. Obviously Colt McCoy and all that stuff, and we talk about injuries, but it's almost like they didn't play their best game. And so now you've got even less time, but then you've got 2 Alabama guys in the Heisman, so that stuff can offset, you don't want any.
Now
I think the one cool thing is they're not going to New York.
They're not having to travel, so they can stay home and practice and do whatever, I guess. So,
well, I think we've got to get to our picks, right? Blake, you want to give us yours first?
Well, I'll start us off here. So I think Ohio State's going to cover the spread. I think they're going to keep it within 8 points, but I think Alabama in that running game and that offensive line. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Najee Harris. So we've been talking, and this guy completely hurdled a guy standing up, and then he probably would have just assumed to ran him over, but he impressed us with his athletic ability to just completely hurdle
him. He did it in stride as well.
Sarkeet, in stride. He didn't miss a beat. He still ran a 4.4 down the sideline, and he's 6'5", 300 pounds. That's an exaggeration, but I think Alabama's going to win. Okay, let me go throw up.
All right, Will.
I don't know. I feel like in some ways the kicking game comes into like a major point, and it's hard as an Alabama fan to trust our kicking game. But Reichard's up for kicker of the year. Whoever saw that coming? 2020 didn't. That's for sure.
Of all years to have a good kicking game, 2020.
Special teams has done well for Alabama, and so I can see it. I'm going either we win by 3 or we win by 10. I don't know if there's just a late touchdown into the game. Najee breaks one. Devontae just kind of like LSU game when we were down. Devontae runs one for 70. I think something like that happens. So I'm going to say Alabama by 10. I think that's where I'm going to go.
Well, and I'm worried. What I'm worried about with the kicking game is that we haven't had that kick yet. It's like the one that just kicks us in the rear end. So as an Alabama fan, I'm struggling with that part. I'm going to say I think Alabama wins. I think it's going to be maybe a little. I hesitate to say it because I do think Ohio State's a great team. I think they played really well. My feeling is that they're going to have a hard time doing it 2 weeks in a row. I feel like, especially with the kind of opponents that they're playing. So I'm going to say Bama by 14, 2 touchdowns.
Ooh, nice. I like the confidence.
I don't feel that
I-
confident here. I'm feeling. I'm just.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to feel it up there.
Yeah, you're trying not to be that guy that Blake's watched the game with,
Yeah.
right? You're like trying not to be that guy. So I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. I think that I kind of go back on history here, things that have nothing to do with the game. So once again, any of these picks, do not take these to the bank. There is our
don't.
commitment there to you. Don't do it. Just go look. You can go look at the Bowl Mania, and
It was
we're
bad.
atrocious. So yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm going to go Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins the game. I think that the freshness comes in. Now, if Jalen Waddle is a healthy go, that changes the game. I think that there's not, I mean, obviously there's NFL teams, but there's not anybody that's going to contain that. I think that that's just the three-headed monster. But, Bama's just not had that game where everything goes awry. Right. And I got a terrible feeling that that's what's coming down. I think that even with that, it's a close game because I think the offense is just
Lake's
crazy.
so excited.
But Nick Saban's only had one undefeated team win a national championship at Alabama, and the rest of them have one issue. I think these guys have stayed level-headed. I don't think that that's the problem. I just think that there's a couple of bounces out there that, and I think some of it is I'm still scared of Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson, but they're not coming through that door.
True.
Okay. I keep
But
trying to remind myself of that.
It's Justin Fields this time.
Justin Fields. But I'll just be honest. Like, even that bomb he threw wasn't the greatest looking bomb. And like, it was the weirdest looking throw. It was just like plenty of cannon. Like, I think the safety himself was like, what did he just do? It was almost like he was trying to throw it out of the stadium and he almost accomplished it. I think the receiver was like, holy smokes, that's going to hit me on stride. It wasn't like the things that were happening, they were even shocked by them. But I am going to go Ohio State.
So what about the like, how much are they going to win by?
Oh, I
Ooh,
think,
yeah. Give us the score, Travis.
I think it's, if Ohio State beats them, I mean, it's 3 points. I mean, I think it's down to the wire. I think it's a down to the wire game either way. But 3 points, and I hope, like I'm with Will. Hope I'm wrong. I hope we win by 70. Hope it's over by the second quarter. But
I think
that's just not going to happen.
I think Sark leaving, for Texas, I know he's still coaching the game. I told Ben today, like, I think this kind of puts him on a pedestal to go, I'm going to go out and prove how great of a coach I am. And I feel like he's just going to put, foot on the gas. Let's score 80 and let's see what.
I think
see
the
what we can do.
vanilla. I think Alabama shut it down. I think third quarter and thought, hey, these guys don't have enough drives. Even if they drive it slowly on us, they don't have enough drives to win the game.
Don't give away everything you got.
I think they'll do the same approach to some degree with Ohio State. Obviously, Ohio State is much more explosive, but they're going to do Ohio State in the way people tried to do us and beat us. They're going to open up that canopy, with the safeties, and they're going to bring the linebackers in the box and go, okay, here we are. If you can smash it, if it takes you 20 plays to score, fine. But they can't afford to give up the 60 bombs,
Everybody always tries to play that ball control time of possession against Alabama, and Alabama just does not care because they score in 30
Which
seconds.
is weird.
I saw the time of possession graphic. Yeah, the time of possession graphic was like completely lopsided, but Alabama.
At one point it was like 14
so
minutes
to
to
be
7 or something like that. Yeah, it was crazy. So Blake, you said Bama by 7 or by 8?
Well, I think we need to give a specific score because we have to put in a average on the pick'em for the winner.
31-28, Alabama.
I'm going to go 55-45 Bama.
I believe the over-under for the game is 75, right around in there.
I really think I'm thinking a Deshaun Watson type play at the end to rip our souls from our bodies, and talking about a pick play for the rest of eternity.
Man.
So
you're killing me.
I'm thinking a 48-45 Ohio State win.
I'm trying to think. I'm thinking like I'm trying to do the math here. It would be 55-41 would make a 14 point, right? Yeah. That's what I'm going. 55-41.
Well, I do have a few online comments. Bryce Mellison, maybe a 2015 repeat. Did he just say that? He did just say that. Mike Wallace, the possibility that Fields has a broken rib could be a total game changer. Also, the possibility Waddle plays with Smith and Mechie, it makes for an unstoppable offense, in his opinion. Roll Tide, Bama by 13. Also, let's not forget Air Harris. Amy Millam says she's dying to see if Waddle practices this week. Mike Jones says 42-31 Bama. Mike Colt, who is not an Alabama fan, says Bama by as many as they want, possibly the best college football team of our lifetime.
Amy Millam keeps up pretty heavy with Alabama. She's a big Alabama fan. She watches that stuff pretty good. That's Amy Waycaster Blake from Highland Park. So, yeah, she's in the know when it comes to that kind of stuff. She's been to several of the championships, I think, the last couple of times we've been at it. So.
December 7th, 1941 is a day that our grandparents and great-grandparents might recall vividly. Thousands of brave individuals answered the call to enlist and serve their country. Those back home waited and also served by providing essential support.
Since then, veterans have served in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, and the current ongoing global military operations. It's no surprise that our veterans have paid a huge price for the freedoms that we cherish. Serenity Counseling is honored to serve those who have served through their Renewed Warriors program.
If you are a veteran who struggles with post-traumatic stress, or maybe you love a veteran who is struggling with post-traumatic stress, it can often be hard to talk about. Drug therapy can often feel like a Band-Aid.
This program, the Renewed Warriors program, is free. Renewed Spirits is currently recruiting veterans for their equine-assisted support group, working with horses outside in the open air. Give them a call or check out their website for more information and to be a part of this group. They'll let you know the details. All you have to do is report for duty. The horses are very good at helping, but you have to be in their presence for it to work.
Give the counselors at Serenity Counseling a call, 256-263-6367, or at their website, serenitycounseling.shoals.org.
Serenity Counseling is located at 1954 Jackson Road in Florence, Alabama.
Serenity Counseling, where hope is given and healing begins.
Thanks for joining Ben, Travis, and Will on the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Make sure to go to benandtravis.com for more content and to download the free ebook